Does anybody else in the room remember this? Y'all remember this? There was a task force, and it was a House and Senate joint task force meeting, and it went on for 3 or 4 days, as I recall, and in the middle of this, I was pregnant. I had to go home. I had some complications with my pregnancy, and I had to go home. And while I was at home, it was raining cats and dogs, and I was trying to take a nap, and I heard on my door, and I thought, well, who the heck? I mean, it's like Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I should be at work. Who's knocking on my door? And I went to the door and opened it up, and it was the obstetrician from Cleveland who was about to close his obstetrics practice and wanted to know why I was not at the Capitol. And I share that story with you just so you know that's the type of mandate that was put upon the legislators who entered into the 2002 session. It was a time period when there were, I think, Charmaine, you may want to throw in some details as you recall, something like 7 counties in the Delta that had no OB services. There were, when the license renewal came up that year, there were about 518 physicians who did not renew their license who left the state. There were insurance companies that were no longer writing coverage in the state and who were leaving the state. Bob, if you want to speak to that, feel free to jump in. In fact, the state had to at one point step in and create its own risk pool in order for physicians to have any access, or medical providers to have any access to coverage. And so it sometimes strikes me that I hear arguments that there was no real urgency. And I just submit to you all who are here, there was an urgency. Ron, if you want to stand up and talk about the survey that you guys did, I know the small business community was extremely involved in the effort and had gotten grassroots involvement in 2002 and on to 2004. Do you recall any of those details? I'm sorry I caught you way off guard,
no,
way
I'm
off guard.
Prepared for that, other than there was significant problems throughout the community in terms of not just the medical, but of course expanded over into pharmacists and
Sure.
banks, little small town banks and others.
Well, in my research, I found at least 2 references to surveys that had been done and about the cost to Mississippi for not having tort reform measures passed. And one of them indicated that there had been a loss of about 10,000 jobs. I believe that was an MFEP report. And there was also a lot of involvement from the U.S. Chamber in reviewing the national perspective on Mississippi, and we ranked at the bottom as a place you'd want to open a business.